Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick here in the studio.
Hi.
Hi. And Mike is here with us.
I am.
Hello.
Hello.
Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by vMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Yep, it does. So what's going on? Gal hopefully will be here later. Spence is still in Alaska.
How's he doing?
He is doing fine as far as I know. I mean, he's. I talked with him the other day, and he was. Everything is hunky dory.
Nice. Good for him.
Yeah. Yep. So what's going on, Mike?
Had some interesting computer issues this year. You have any idea of a computer show I can call in?
No, I wish I did.
Yeah, somebody needs to start one.
What's the problem?
The hard drive's filling up.
Stop downloading stuff.
Yeah, well, have you looked at on Windows 10, have you looked at your WinSSX folder lately?
I don't even know what that means.
Me neither.
WinSSX is a utility folder that Windows 10 puts on your hard drive.
Where is it?
Under Windows, I think. I don't know. If you do search everything and type WinSSX, it'll take you straight to it. But the problem is that Windows has put a bunch of crap in there, a bunch of MSI files. No, that's under installs. But it's just filling up, and you can't just delete it. You have to go through utilities to get it to empty out. The problem is that they don't always work.
Let's see. Mine's about 8 gigabytes in that folder.
Mine was about 100.
Oh, sorry. No, it stopped. Now it's going back up. Now Windows tell me it needs to restart and update. Jeez. Remind me later. 10.8, 11 gigabytes on the disk for that folder. And what is this? It looks like every program. Well, no, it's all Microsoft Windows stuff. What is all this?
It's all crap. It's all stuff they use that's internal to the operating system.
Is it SSX or SXX?
SXS.
Oh.
It's under C.
That's why I don't have it.
C Windows WinSXX. I've never heard of this before.
I mean, if I run a utility that's not really good because it hasn't been updated, but I use it. I rely on it. It's called jdiskreport. jdiskreport from jgoodies.com, I think it is. The problem with the utility is that it requires Java, which I keep loaded on the computers just to run this program. The second part of the program is that because of changes between XP and Windows 7, I believe, the guy who wrote it, it's a freeware program, the guy who wrote it has not updated the way that it writes to the registry to be able to right-click and say, scan this drive. I know what the hacks are to make it work, but every time I put it on a computer, I have to go back and figure it out again. If you install the program, if you run it from the start command, then you can tell it to scan the C drive and it will work. So it's a minor inconvenience, but it really does give a great way to look at this stuff on your hard drive. Having said that, I was working on a friend's computer Friday, and I kept noticing that his documents and settings folder and his users folder were exactly the same size, which made no sense because he has a 500 gigabyte SSD, and those two folders added together were 600 gigabytes. Well, it turns out that whenever you upgrade from one computer to the next, that some programs that are looking for documents and settings folder from XP will create what's called a junction. I'd never heard of a junction, meaning that the documents and settings folder in Windows 7, in this case, was really an alias, if you will, to the user folder. Now, it didn't take up twice the space on the hard drive, which I was hoping it was doing, but it was, in fact, making the disk size, file size reports incorrect. The solution was to drop into a command prompt with administrator rights and do rmdir space quote documents and settings unquote. It's the only way to get rid of it that I could figure out. And all it did was eliminate that. I guess it's kind of like a pointer or a director to the users folder. Now, does he have programs that aren't going to work as a result? I don't know. If it does, we'll put it back. But it's called a junction. I'd never heard of that.
Is it like a virtual map?
That's the only thing I can figure out.
Well, mine is 11 gig.
Really? Well, that's interesting because what, your computer right here? Mike, was that one was over 100 gigabytes?
Yeah.
Is it 11 gigs exactly?
It's 11.2.
Okay. Weird. I've got to have more on this computer than you have on yours. Or you have to have more on your computer than I do on mine.
I don't use it for. I mean, it's probably while you're using it. The only thing I use this one is VMix. I don't do anything else with it. You do.
I guess. So how did you have 600 gigabytes on a 500 gigabyte SSD?
Whenever the directories were reading the drive, it said there was 300 gig in users and there was 300 gig in documents and settings.
Well,
there was
documents and
300
documents and settings go under users.
No, it doesn't exist in Windows 10.
Oh.
So where was the ghost data? Was it under the user settings or the
Yes.
documents and settings?
Yes, under users.
Okay.
Had I deleted the users folder, I'd have been in serious caca.
You can delete System32. I heard that also helps.
Only on your computer. Don't let anybody else do that.
Don't delete System32, folks. Your computer will never turn back on.
Again, forever.
Yeah, forever. You can go buy a new one.
But anyway, it did RMDIR, I believe it was now, and got rid of the junction, and everything all of a sudden started looking correct. Then on my, this is on two different computers, and on my other computer, I noticed that my Windows/installs folder was just slammed. I don't remember what size it was, but all this, I mean, it was many gigabytes. How many is your Windows installs folder?
Is it just called Windows installs?
Yes.
I don't seem to have an installs folder.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't have a folder called Windows installs or installs under Windows.
I don't either.
Maybe it's hidden.
Well,
I'm showing, as far as I know,
wish I
I'm showing
thought of that.
hidden.
There's install service.
No.
I don't have anything with install in front of it.
Do start run /Windows/installs. Windows 7 doesn't have it.
I'm looking on 10 on the.
And you're not seeing
on
it?
the VMix.
Windows cannot access / Windows installs.
Just do /Windows/installs.
Cannot find.
Yep. It may be because that computer's on a domain, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a utility in there. In Windows 10, there's a function called disk cleanup
Yeah.
that goes through and cleans up that stuff. But after you run it, you also then need to go back and have to clean up system files. Once you've done updates and you think all the updates are there, what these things do is it's preserving a way for you to uninstall updates if you have a problem with the computer. The correct way to clean this mess up if you're having space issues is to image the drive and then go through these utilities to clean up these stores.
I found the folder, I think, Mike. It's Windows Installer.
Installer, that could be.
That's the only
And,
one I see.
and it's under Windows?
Yeah, but it's hidden.
Yeah. And how big? Oh, another thing I found was interesting on this, my friend's computer. He had a folder on his C drive called F that had some old files in it from years ago. It was a hidden folder.
My Windows installer is 1.3 gigabytes.
Yep. I mean, in and of itself is not a big deal, but considering it's a wasted gigabyte.
Well, I disagree with you. It's a huge deal. I've got a 256 gigabyte SSD on this laptop. I mean, between the
Every
other,
little bit.
yeah, every 3 gigabytes is a huge bit of data that's being either used. On my desktop, it's not a problem, but I've very routinely had issues with this computer where I've been unable to do things because I'm out of storage.
All right. Do you have Java on that computer?
I do.
All right. Go to jdiskreport and download it and install it and run it.
jdiskreport.
It's jgoodies.com. The program is called jdiskreport.
Okay, I'll install it. Oh, this is definitely a Java application. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's why I said, do you have Java
No,
installed on that
no, I
computer?
meant you can look at the image and it's a typical Java paint
It was,
screen.
it was last updated in 2014, I think. I use this all the time. I totally rely on this to manage hard drives.
Do I want jdiskreport or jdiskreport2 preview?
No, you don't want the preview. That's apparently one he's worked on and hasn't finished, or he's not tested, or whatever. I don't trust it. I just use the old one.
All right, I'm installing. I'll have a report
It
here
doesn't
shortly.
take but a second.
Oh, really? Okay. This is funny because I had a buddy that was asking me the other day. He does a lot of graphic design work and stuff like that, and he said, "Hey, do you know of a program with it? I want to be able to see where all this stuff is on my hard drive," and I didn't have any idea. It's funny that you've.
I want you to. I want to get your initial reactions on the air with this. It should be installed by now.
It is. It's
All right.
opening.
So start it from the not from the command line. Start it from the start menu.
Yeah, it says next. Okay.
Hey, Mike, is that computer that you're talking about, is that an upgrade from 7 to 10, or was it a 10 straight?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's at my office, and our IT guy did it. I don't know if he updated or started fresh. I
Do
have no idea.
do I want to scan the file tree?
You want to scan C?
So open scan?
No, scan drive C. Doesn't it have C listed?
No, it says what do you want to do? Scan file tree or open scan?
You haven't run a scan, so you can't open one. So
Okay.
it would have to be scan file tree, and you should be able to point to just the C drive.
Okay. It's
The next time you run it, it'll have C as an option,
okay. It is now.
and it's going to take a little while to run.
Okay. The program's locked up, so maybe it's scanning. I'll let this run and we'll see.
The thing I don't like about it is it uses
Okay,
Java.
now it says choose a directory. So now I need to go to this PC and
C.
just set my C drive.
Just C drive. Just click on C drive.
All right, I'll let it run.
Let me see if I still got it on here. I'm pretty sure I do. I use it all the time. I mean, it's the only one to me that makes any sense.
Holy moly.
The thing is that somebody out there somewhere has got one of these, another program to replace it. I mean, if I were Sean and I wanted to write a program, put my name on it, I would rewrite this in something that's compatible with all systems, and it's very, very useful.
I mean, Java's still installed almost everywhere.
Yeah, but I don't trust it.
As long as you're not running
Also,
it in the web, Java's really not.
yeah, but I mean,
A lot of
is it
programs
really?
use.
Yeah.
But
Brian's
it's not
work.
really needed. I mean,
Well, it is though. I mean, you've got a lot of people that know how to use Java, and they're making a lot
but
of
isn't it a
programs.
runtime?
Yeah, it's a runtime
It ought
environment.
to be. It ought to be. Everything you get ought to be compiled.
Well, agreed. Actually, Brian is working on a little program for the podcast we do, and he's building it in Java as part of his capstone project for college. And He's building it in Java, and it's gonna keep us in sync. It's gonna have a list of our show topics, a timer, a little indicator so we can message each other privately back and forth, a clock. It's gonna be pretty neat, and it runs in Java.
I get that, and if I'm doing a quick project just for my own use where I have control over Java and the version and all that, that's fine. But if I'm going to put it out in the wild for the rest of the world and it requires Java, which a lot of people will not run for security reasons, and I mean, you can't blame them. Programs should not be widely used programs should not require the use of Java. We're past that. If you can write the program in Java, you can write it in some other language that doesn't require the Java runtime. I mean, I don't know if you're getting it, but in Chrome, now when I open Chrome, it says, be aware that Flash will not be available after December 2020.
Yeah, what does that mean though? It just won't
It
run in
means that
browser.
it is not going to run in Chrome, is what it
Right.
says to me.
That
By
sucks.
by default, it won't, but it
It
will.
doesn't run defaultly by already.
I agree.
All right, my report is
Firefox
done.
All right. Mine's not. So let's wait on mine so I can follow along with you.
Okay. I'll post a picture in chat.
It might have taken a while.
You lost the picture where?
I said I'll post the picture
Oh.
in chat.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, MoviePass reportedly resorted to extreme tactics to prevent users from taking advantage of core features, according to a new report from Business Insider. In particular, the report highlights a strategy the company used to keep users from bankrupting it by changing account passwords to prevent ticket purchases that might cost it money it didn't have. Can you imagine tomorrow Google decide, let's change Nick's password for Gmail because it's costing us too much.
Well,
and this is here. People pay for
It's a
this.
pay
This is
service.
not free.
No, I would say with Gmail, you'd have to
Yeah.
say, well,
right. Yeah.
it is what it is. But no, with a paid service,
Right.
this MoviePass is that AMC or Regal, or is this the third party?
I have no idea.
When I was driving over here this morning, I was listening to UNC Public Radio, and they were talking about DEF CON, the
Mhm.
hacker convention that's going out in Las Vegas, and they were actually talking about voting machines and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
And it's interesting because they said that this year they're welcoming officials, government officials, to DEF CON to see what's going on. And
Here's my concern with the timing for what they're doing. Not that they're doing it, because if there's an issue with voting machines in the U.S., it needs to be dealt with. But we're 6 months away from elections, and if let's say they find some major exploit in
Yeah.
this DEF CON thing and it gets publicized, they're putting everybody at a huge risk. So I'm not for if there's a huge issue with the system and it needs to be dealt with, that's one thing. But publishing these things potentially publicly 4 months, 5 months before it's an off-year election, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, that just doesn't seem like it's maybe the smartest thing. Maybe this needs to happen in December, right after polling is done, and they have a year potentially to get a fix out to these machines. What if they find out there's a huge exploit?
I read an article a couple of weeks ago. Is the most disingenuous article that I have ever read in my entire life when it comes to politics. These wackos were saying that Russians can hack voting machines even if they are not connected to the internet.
Well, the thing is, I read something about those so-called reports, and they were saying that a lot of state officials, election officials, did not actually know that the machines were hooked to the internet. They thought they were not. They were told they were not, and it turned out that they were.
All right, but listen to the
But
premise
I
of
understand.
this story.
I'm just no. That's
No,
just
you don't understand. Listen to the premise of this story. You know what the premise was, that how Russians could hack voting machines
Yeah.
that are not connected to the internet? Honest to God, they put, and this was a big publication like a Fortune or one of these companies, magazines that used to have credibility. They said that the data taken from these machines that are not physically connected to the internet are ultimately uploaded to a server that is connected to the internet, so it can be hacked at that point.
Of course. The second it finds itself on something public, then yeah, absolutely it's vulnerable. But I mean,
But but that is not hacking a machine that is not connected to the internet. That's
Yeah.
hacking a server that contains data from machines that were never connected to the internet.
agreed.
It's not accurate. It's a bald-faced lie.
Of course. I really don't like this idea of doing something like this so close to an election.
Well,
And here's the other thing too. Let's be perfectly honest about this.
orange man bad.
With with what they're doing at DEF CON, these guys have got a voting machine. They've got unlimited time. They've got full
Right.
access to the physical unit itself. They can they can they can test as many payloads as they want. I mean, it's obviously, good to know, but the situation is not um, it's not a real life accurate situation that would actually unfold.
Alan says that DEF CON has always recognized that government officials do attend. It's a game called Spot the Fed.
Yeah. There was a couple senators that spoke at it. I mean, yeah, there's definitely something to be had from it, but the timing seems a little sketch to me.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back
Yeah.
to your program,
Yes, sir.
J-Disk Report.
Mhm.
So in
Can you share
looking
your
at
screen, Mike?
huh?
Can you share?
I don't know, can I?
You should be able to, so that we can at least follow something along. Should be
Um,
should be able to share just that window.
you want me to share your window?
No, your window, so we have
My
something to
window.
look at.
I gotta see if my porn shows up. Hold on a minute. All right, let's see here. Let me maximize this. And let me see here. I want to, I never remember where this is. That's add people, share screen. There's yours. So the problem is I have to click on this, click on share, and then go back to here.
Coolio.
Is there anything on that screen that you don't want?
No, no, it's just folder listings.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So I'm looking at yours, Nick. Your users folder is 120 gigabytes. Mine is 92 gigabytes.
I do see that.
All right. Now let me show you this. Can you see mine okay?
Yep, that
Mhm.
looks great here.
All right. You see right up here at top
I
50?
see that.
Click on that on yours.
Yep.
All right. Those in descending order, those are the top. Um, I'm gonna I've already been through and cleaned mine, but the first three you can't do, four you can't do anything with. But then look at what's below that.
A big wave file, yeah.
When you click on yours, what do you see?
I've got a couple of virtual machines that I thought I deleted that are still on here. I've got
There
3
you go.
virtual machines that are taking up almost 6 gigabytes apiece.
There you go.
And then a couple page files, and then I've used this computer to grab some gameplay off of the PlayStation or Xbox, so then there's a couple of 1 gigabyte files, but those are just raw, um, video files. Wow. Uninstalled VirtualBox. I don't know how it's possible that these VDI files are still here. Huh.
Okay, so in your opinions, why is Windows saving this?
When this in this case, what I'm looking at, the I used VirtualBox. This was back when I was in school. We had to screw around with some stuff with VirtualBox for a class, and I
Mhm.
installed VirtualBox, set up 3 different VMs, but I don't have VirtualBox installed anymore. But the VDI, which is essentially the image file, it's what it boots from, and the operating system are still sitting here.
Okay, so can you see any good reason
No,
for it?
the uninstaller for VirtualBox didn't uninstall the VDIs, and I can understand probably why, because if you have to uninstall the program to reinstall it, you don't want it wiping out all your data. But I don't remember having I don't remember having an option to.
I wish CCleaner would
I don't
allow
run
you
CCleaner
to.
on this, but I don't have VirtualBox. I'm gonna so I can delete this entire folder because I don't have VirtualBox installed. Hmm. Good catch, Mike.
Oh, there's one more.
Okay.
Do you have search everything on your
I
computer?
do. Yes.
All right, run it.
I mean, it's already open.
All right, let me run mine.
Search Everything, by the way, is arguably the best search program. It is the best search program that
I agree. And
is
it's
that.
free. It's at voidtools.com, voidtools.com. Search everything. If you're not running it, you're missing it. I mean, it's even better than Apple. Okay, I was kidding. But so anyway, if you will, uh, once it's open, don't type anything
Yep.
in the search bar and click on size
Size where?
To
Under
one of the
view?
columns.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
You may have to right click and tell it to show the size. I don't recall.
Yeah. So now once I've deleted those VDI files, now the layout looks similar to as I would expect it to look from jdiskreport.
So when you click on size, and click on it so that the largest one is at the top.
Yep.
It will also show you the thing about search everything is it searches hidden in system folders as well.
Hmm. This looks identical to the jdiskreport top 50.
Well, that's because you've got it only on the C drive. See, I've got it on about 6 drives, and it's
Yeah.
looking at every one of those drives. It searches every one of the drives at the same time.
Hmm. So I just deleted almost 30 gigabytes worth of stuff. Let me remove it from the trash and see.
hey.
I know. Look
But
at this.
then if you run drive cleanup, it'll get the leftover, because another thing that happens, Nick, whenever you when you use these tools, you delete those things, it dumps it in the recycle bin. If you don't empty the recycle
Mhm.
bin, it doesn't free up the space.
Absolutely.
Right.
So now I've got, let's see how many gigabytes free. Now I've got over 30 gigabytes free. Before I had less than 5 gigs free on here.
Well, you can still clean it up. I
Oh,
mean, if
oh
you
yeah. I mean, there's
if
video recordings on here that I know for a fact I don't need.
right, so what are they, MP4?
These are TS files. These are
All
raw.
right. So go into search everything,
Mhm.
type .ts.
Yep.
There are all the TS files on your hard drive,
I only
hidden
have
or
one.
otherwise.
But
The
yeah, it's
good thing about search everything is you can actually drag them from that screen over to an external drive, or you can delete them from there. It has a Windows Explorer function. JDiskreport does not have an Explorer function. That's one thing I don't like about it. But in search everything, you can actually right click and delete it or drag it over to another window.
yeah, this TS file is a 50-minute 1080p video file at 15 megabits, so it's a pretty
Wow.
large file.
Define how large it is.
6 gigabytes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do you need that on your computer
No,
next week?
when I get home, I'll drag it over to my home server and delete it. Now, what it was is the Elgato game capture. I've recorded some videos on it, and I record that at raw. I just didn't, and you know, it's probably it is sitting on that server because I've played it on the Infection podcast before, so I can probably delete this.
Yeah, but just drag it over when you
Yeah,
get home. Don't worry about it.
interesting. Good. This JDiscreport's a real.
It's a winner.
It is a winner. I'm going to send this over to my buddy right now. It's very funny that you brought this up.
Well, just be sure to tell them the caveats that you
Yeah.
have to have Java. And by the way, Java has to be installed before you install the program. It has to be able to find Java once it's installed. If the if you're installing Java for the first time, again, install it and make sure you tell it to uninstall the old versions. Remember, we had a big problem 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that Java was leaving old versions on the hard drive. They finally fixed that.
Interesting.
But I use these to clean it up, and I got that one computer that I found out what he had done. He tried to download a Bitcoin node. He had downloaded 160 gigabytes worth of files, which I moved over to a second drive on his computer because it didn't work. You've got to have more. He didn't have enough room to run the node.
Hot dog.
Why don't you type links to both of those in chat, Nick,
I can do that.
in case anybody wants it. So Gene wants to
Hmm.
know, is anybody using a WPS Wi-Fi repeater?
Yeah, what is a WPS Wi-Fi repeater?
WPS is so that
Authentication.
you click.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that's
mean, most of them have that. It's not like a name brand.
no, but some I think some probably don't have WPS. I'm not a huge fan of WPS. I've never had it work with
I
anyone.
never used it. I mean, it's there to say you can press it, but
I've
It's
never
there
had
so
it
you
work.
don't have to go through the manual entry of all the stuff, which if you're going to use computers and if you're listening to this show, you need to learn how to enter it manually.
It's funny. There was actually a Dell printer that an older Dell laser printer that was at the office, and and it had wireless. The only way it could connect to wireless was with WPS.
you
Hmm.
couldn't go in
No.
manually.
Only way was WPS, and it disconnected religiously. That
And
was my only
speaking of
experience.
which, I will suggest that if you have old printers, you have a home network, you're using iPads and or iPhones, go buy a new printer
Or install
because
cups.
what?
Or install cups.
Well, I don't know what that is, so you might want to tell people, but I will tell you that I installed 2 new printers that have what is it, the AirDrop or whatever that
Um,
function is,
AirPrint.
AirPrint built in. And when I'm looking at something on my iPhone, I want to print it, all I do is go down to the bottom, tell it to print, and it finds these printers on the network.
Yeah, AirPrint's super convenient. And Cups is a Linux open source printer server, and it's got AirPrint built into that. Great for a little if you've got a Raspberry Pi that you're looking for something to do with. A Cups server is a good idea. Relatively easy to set up as long as you've got a printer that you know where the drivers are.
and you spell that?
CUPS. I think, yeah, CUPS.
But as far as utilities are concerned, the one utility that I've never found that I like, or it's not that I don't like it, I don't trust it, is eliminating duplicate files.
I don't have a problem. I've never really had a problem with that, so that's a tough one to find.
I mean, I'm sitting here looking at multiple copies of a TBI file, which is a hard drive image. I have the same one on 2 different hard drives, and each image is 122 gigabytes.
I'll delete one of them.
No, you gotta have 2 backups.
But
I
if
mean,
they're
you
on the
gotta have
same
one
hard drive,
drive.
that's not a backup.
Well, I mean, but, you never can tell. I mean, for the price of another 10 terabyte hard drive, I don't have to delete it.
Don't steal my thunder. That's coming up in specials.
Well, but the crap, I mean, this search everything, for example, I'm sitting here looking at it now. And one of the things that I just did when we were talking is that you click on size and you can see where all of the files are on your computer. If I did not have jdiskreport, I would use search everything to figure out where the largest files are, because when you need space in a hurry, when you go in and look at the top 50 on jdiskreport or sort by size on search everything, then it will tell you which files are taking up the most space, and you can move fewer files by moving the biggest ones and getting them out of the way. In Nick's case, those .ts files. He doesn't need to have those on his computer he's carrying around with him. He just needs access to them at some point. And the reality is that a lot of it he probably could delete, but
Absolutely.
who don't?
Yeah. That file's old. I mean, I really don't need it anymore, but I will keep it.
Yeah, that's called hoarding. I mean, I'm sitting here looking, get this. I'm sitting here looking at a hard drive image of 122 gigabytes from 2010.
You may have a problem.
You can say, why are you keeping that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it belongs to a friend of mine that I've serviced his computer. And as recently as a month ago, he's saying, I used to have a file that insert file name here. I'll bet you it's on one of these images.
Yeah, but
And
are
then
you
you
ever
say,
actually going to go and get it?
if he wants me to, I will. And I actually, as I mentioned before, I have a program that will search through zip files. It won't search through TBI files. Doesn't know the format. but it will actually search through zip files and find hidden files. The program is called any. Oh crap! I get tired of forgetting this kind of stuff. Any something. I'll find it, but maybe it's not any. But it's a program that will actually search. I have it on my server. I'll have to go back and look for it. But no, something file. All right, I can't find it, so I'll go look for the word file on search everything, and then search for folders, and see if I can find one. All of these named folders at Lenovo and the Windows, WinSSX, AMD 64, Microsoft Windows, offline files, all this crap it puts on there. Windows needs to get its act together.
Mm-hmm. Wishful thinking.
Yeah, it won't happen. Get a Mac. What is the name? I'll find it in a little bit, maybe. If not, I'll no. Anyway, it's a great program, but the company has not updated it in forever. Yeah, so it'd be hard to recommend, but I'll tell you, it saved my keister. I've talked about it a couple of times here before. But if you're not using search everything, you're missing it. I would, if that guy started selling it for $100, I'd pay for it.
Let's see.
Advanced File Optimizer, is that it? Motivates me.
All right, when you find it, we
No,
can talk about it. In the meantime, a ransomware attack late last week left the Georgia Department of Public Safety and Georgia State Patrol computers offline.
Oh boy.
Lieutenant Stephanie Stallings, GSP spokesperson, said a message popped up on an employee's computer prompting preventative measures to shut all servers' network down. The servers have been offline since July 26. The Georgia State Patrol's Tech Division, the Georgia Tech Authority, which handles network and servers, is now checking every device in all 52 State Patrol post locations across the state to see if more devices are affected. The state says Georgia Tech Authority is downloading new protective software on all devices, which are purposely offline until further notice. So they got them like that. To follow this, in March, the National Security Agency released an internal malware research tool for free to the public, a first for the secretive agency. 6 months later, by most indications, the release is an even bigger event than the NSA thought. Some aspects of researching malware have long required expensive software. So now the release of Ghidra, I guess that's how it's pronounced, it's Ghidra, the NSA tool, has profoundly changed the field, opening it up to students, part-timers, and hobbyists who otherwise couldn't afford to participate. It's been a good 6 months for Ghidra. The software has been downloaded more than 500,000 times from GitHub. We had a bet on how many downloads it would be, said Brian Knighton, senior researcher at the NSA, and we were off, but quite a factor. So there's a lot more downloads of it. I mean, I listen to these things, I read them, and I said, yeah, but the bad guys can download this, see how it works, and find ways to get around it.
It's always the risk.
Yeah.
It's the trade-off.
But it's nice.
What's more beneficial, letting the
Yep.
good guys or the bad, or possibly empowering the bad guys? I don't know.
But yeah, for the police department to be offline, that's
I want to talk about something with you, something you brought to my attention yesterday.
Yeah.
One of your IoT devices
Oh yeah,
is no more.
right.
So let's
Any of you that uses Hook
well, what
to do
back up.
anything,
What is Hook?
Hook is a hub. It's a little square thing that you plug into your USB, and through it you can either control whatever you want,
Are they outlets?
outlets, switches,
Mhm.
through it, or there is an interface to go with Alexa.
Okay.
And that, when it was, I think it was Thursday or Wednesday morning, I got up and I said, Alexa, lights off. And she answered, she said, there's a problem. If you want to control lights, go into the Alexa app and re-enable it. So I went in there and it's enabled. So I tried again, same thing. And usually when something like this happens, this message doesn't come up. But you can see there's a light on the hub that it's like they call it breathing. It goes dim and back up and dim and back up. And if there's a problem, it's either going fast or it doesn't do it. And you go and you unplug it, plug it back, everything is okay.
Yeah.
So I did it anyway. No. So I went and started searching and got on there some page on Facebook. And everybody was talking about that Hook is no longer. Those guys just closed down shop. Some people were saying, well, guys, maybe you should give us some ways to use it. But there is no response. And yesterday, when you came over and we were talking about it, I was trying to show Nick the messages. You can't even get to any of those pages anymore. It's like they shut everything down. Their Facebook page, their Twitter, all that stuff is gone. So if you were using Hook, it's gethook.io or Hook Smart Home. And you haven't used it in some times, that's it. It's the end of that. And Nick, you were saying that maybe somebody would come up with some open source that will make it work. Maybe, I don't know.
This is I would say in the next 10 years, we are going to see something very interesting go on with these. So I said IoT, this is the Internet of Things devices, and the Hook, I guess, the Hook would classify as an Internet of Things device.
Right.
When these companies, most of them small, Indiegogo, Kickstarter backed companies, do their thing for a little while, this device was, in comparison to other Philips systems, was relatively inexpensive. Yeah.
It was $49.
Yeah, so it's one of the cheaper smart
Yeah.
devices that are out there. By the way, you need to go on Amazon after the show and leave a negative review and say they've shut this down, because people, I'm looking at it right
They're
now.
still selling
It's
it.
got 3.5 stars on Amazon. People
Yeah.
are buying this. So in the next 10 years, when half of these Internet of Things devices are gone, it's just gonna half the smart devices you have just aren't gonna work.
Right.
And it's not just smart devices. We see the same thing in the video game industry. You've got a whole bunch of games that require a connection to a server to even play single player, always online. That's going to be a problem in 10 or 15 years when I want to play the game that I played when I was 22, and the servers have been offline for 10 years. And the same thing with this Hook and other smart. We saw, who was it that just Lowe's bought them and then they shut down?
Wink, not Wink.
One of them, and Lowe's said, hey, if you've got
Yeah.
one of these devices, come, we'll give you our brand alternative of it and send you away. But I mean, that's a pain.
Yeah, it is.
So what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, as it is now, I was saying, okay, I'm giving up on this. Forget that. Um, I don't know if you remember. I don't think it was last Christmas. I think it was the Christmas before last. You found something from Etech City. It was a Wi-Fi outlet.
Yeah. Yeah, they make them. They're pretty. Yeah, I got my parents use those.
Right. And I realized that I had 4 of them.
Oh,
wait.
perfect.
And I was reading, and the nice thing about them, the most important thing about them is it does not require internet connection. So that means they don't phone home. They can work on your Wi-Fi network, even if you don't have an internet
That's good.
connection. And that means that will never go. I mean, it will never stop working because somebody shut down their service. The bad thing about them and why I didn't put them in is because Kathy doesn't like to talk to the Echo. The Etech City outlets that we were using with Hook have a remote control.
Yeah.
Or you can also make them addressable through the Echo.
Mhm.
These don't. So that means
You can use an app on your phone.
I don't think there is.
Well, you can use the Echo app to control a switch.
That's true. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
not as
That's right.
It's not
yeah,
as convenient,
right,
but it can
right.
be done.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
So I
that's not
probably
true.
will.
My-
I'll see. I'll wait and see.
I don't remember. My parents have 2 different sets of switches. I believe they've got a TP. Their main one they use is a TP
Okay.
link or something, and that's got a physical button on it or an app that you can use on your phone standby. I don't remember how the Etech City
Yeah,
ones work.
it's. I mean, I looked at it. I found it and I opened it and I configured 2 outlets, and they work.
It's almost like with these smart devices and things like that, you are far better off. This is one of the situations where you are far better off buying a name brand, a Philips,
Right. Something.
just something that is being made by a company that's got some backing. Because, and even Etech City, as long as it's not not constantly phoning home, it's fine. But just these cheaper smart hub alternatives, the guys decide, hey,
Yeah.
toodaloo.
And that's it.
And now
You're
your lights
stuck
don't
with it.
work.
Right.
So if you're investing in a smart house and you're installing switches and doorbells and knobs and doodads everywhere and smart control toaster ovens, you got to buy name brand, because if not, you're going to get screwed when these companies shut. Philips is not going to shutter their smart home
No,
division, and if they do, somebody larger will purchase them. Same thing with Belkin and
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else makes
it's
Samsung
sort of
makes
like
smart stuff.
it's like insurance kind of.
Yeah.
You go with the big name.
So that sucks though. I hate to hear that. You were really happy. You spoke very very nice of the product for the price and what it
And
did.
they were, and it was working.
So
Great.
I'm not to reimburse everyone's money who bought it.
They're gone.
No,
Oh.
you're
Oh,
reimbursing.
Amazon.
No, you are. All the people that you
Yeah.
recommended to buy.
I mean, when you search for it, you see that it's still being sold on Amazon. I said, what the hell?
Wild. There is nothing online. There's no Reddit posts. I'm trying to
Right.
find where people are.
It's like it's
Because what I would assume is that somebody will come up with some sort of service that you'll probably have to set something up in your DNS locally to move to a different thing. I'm gonna find something.
Zero.io.
ZeroNet. Yeah. I'll find something here.
maybe on 8chan.
On ZeroNet.
Yeah.
8chan's gone away.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about that. You were going to do specials at 10 o'clock?
No, I'll do them a little while. I got to wrap them up first.
Sorry.
So in the wake of a couple of incidents in the United States, another they're not an internet service provider, but a DNS slash kind of spam protection service, Cloudflare, which provides DDoS mitigation, DNS, and if you have a website that's under attack or is receiving a lot of traffic and a lot of traffic from people that are trying to be malicious, you run Cloudflare, which is relatively expensive.
It is.
But if you're, and you've probably seen it if you've gone to a website, you'll get a white page and it'll say Cloudflare is checking your connection. There'll be a little loading bar and then it'll let you into the website. So they this week decided that based on some things that are going on, that they are going to cancel 8chan's agreement with them, their DDoS mitigation and DNS agreement. And because of that, 8chan can't operate because they'd be DDoSed to eternity. So they are they've shut down the website. So we've got another situation. We talked about it with Gab months ago, where I'm calling them internet service providers are playing politics, and they have the right to do so. It's their private service; they can do whatever they want.
That's debatable.
What?
That's debatable.
That's not debatable.
Debatable.
It's not debatable. Tell me how's it debatable?
And wait and see, because they want to claim that we're private companies. We can do what we want to do. We've talked about this on this show before. They're using government resources to get provide their services to the internet at large, and the government, it has one link in the chain, then they've got their fingerprints all over it. The government can absolutely tell them they can or cannot use their resources to play politics.
I would like to agree with you. I just don't see that happening.
Well, I'm just telling you what the legal analysis is. You're going to see it because Trump's working on it now.
Well, that's good to hear. So they've decided, like a lot of other things, that they're going to play politics, and they've shuttered the account of them. So they
And
are.
let's be honest. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on 8chan that nobody needs to see, child porn supposedly and other things. But then the problem, the complaint about them doing it is then they leave up ISIS websites and things like that. I mean, they're just very selective, trying to go after any communications media the right version of politics has.
That's the problem, that it's done selectively.
Correct.
So if you're, I mean, we've seen this time and time again. These DNS providers, web host providers, even name registrars, which is almost unbelievable when you think about it. But a name registrar refusing to what is a
Renew.
name? What is a name register? What is it called? What they do with your domain? They don't own the domain.
it.
They park it or
I don't
They
know that there's a
register it
word.
through the Nick, through
I can.
whatever the TLD. They are the agent that registers your name through the TLD registry.
Yeah, so they've refused to register domains, specific domains for whatever reason. Well, it's not for whatever reason, because of political reasons. And if I just what do you do when what do you do when your DNS provider, your hosting provider, or in the case of 8chan, your DNS and your DDoS mitigation provider,
I mean,
says, "Hey, get out of here." Well,
you bypass the internet.
Yeah, that's what you do. You end up moving to something like ZeroNet.
Well, the thing is, DNS you can remedy.
Yeah, well, yeah, as long as you find something.
But the DDoS mitigation, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, and
like you said, yeah, they can find hosting all over the place, but they will be DDoSed, and that's the problem. It's like if you're a car racer and you have a nice racing machine and somebody's taking it away from you, yeah, you can go and get any car, but are you going to be able to accomplish what you're doing? No, because everybody will be all over you. So it's that's the problem.
I'm very. It's concerning.
It
And
is.
those people on the left who are saying good for you. Well, guess what? One day the table shifts, and now it's your stuff.
And it will shift.
And it will shift.
I just don't like the idea of essentially somebody like Cloudflare providing the service they provide being the judge, jury, and executioner on something.
Why shouldn't they, Nick? What's the recourse?
There
Who's
isn't.
gonna do
There
anything
isn't.
about it?
There isn't right now, and I know the government can and hopefully will do something. But as we sit here and talk right now, there's nothing. So 8chan has moved over to this service called ZeroNet.
Well, they didn't.
Well, they didn't, but there's a huge group of people over there.
Yeah, but
went
you
on it
saw
yesterday.
the notice that they posted. It's not us.
It's not them. But the problem with ZeroNet, which Mike and I learned last night when we were trying to do a little research about this, is the way ZeroNet works is it's decentralized. The problem is you're hosting the content.
It's BitTorrent.
You're seeding the content. So if somebody decides to put child porn on 8chan, everything is auto downloaded because that's how peer-to-peer works with seeders and leechers. You are now essentially the argument could be made that you're distributing child pornography or something else because it's on your computer.
Said that's not an argument being made. If there's child porn on your hard drive, you're guilty.
Yeah.
No discussion. If it's on your hard drive, you're guilty.
Well, but I would say that it being on your hard drive is one thing. It being on your hard drive and you sending it to other people is probably a whole nother class of issue.
Correct. That would be a second charge on top of the first one.
So there you go. So you're not just in possession of it, you're distributing something
Correct.
as well. So that's a problem.
You run peer-to-peer like BitTorrent at your own peril. I
Well,
would not do it.
from what I read is they were saying that they will be back up.
Yeah, they will. They'll find
They
somebody that will
And
do something.
And there are other ways. I mean, they can. I mean, the thing about 8chan and Q and all these things is a lot of these people are very good-hearted American people who mean well, and then the loonies come in and screw up everything like they have on the left. I mean, the left, not everybody is as stupid as AOC. I mean, they're just not. They can't be because the world wouldn't function if everybody was as stupid as she is. But having said that, it's the few that spoil it for the many, and the few who are genuinely concerned about this country, who are genuinely dedicated citizens who want what's right, they can find a forum in, for example, Gab and so forth. Gab claims that they're never going to delete anybody, but that's not exactly true. They will delete anyone doing anything illegal or, for example, child porn. No one can tolerate that. I don't care what their public speaking policy is, and it should be that way. That stuff does not have any place anywhere on the internet or particularly on my home computer.
Yeah, and they can't tolerate it for a legal purpose. I mean, they not even talking a moral issue. You're talking about one of the most severe, probably technological crimes that you can get charged with. Outside, I mean, I'm trying to think of other things that are held as seriously as the standard of things like child pornography and the distribution in terms of technology. It's the one that people actually get charged with. People don't get charged with torrenting movies and TV shows. People do get charged for possession and distribution of child pornography.
Child pornography is what possession and distribution of child pornography are what are called strict liability crimes. All the excuses in the world won't make a bit of difference. If you have it, you're guilty.
Yep.
There it is.
You don't know that you have it.
Well, you were talking about, Mike, you were talking about Trump now is working for it. I mean, working on it. Well, this is something else. A draft executive order from the White House could put the Federal Communication Commission in charge of shaping how Facebook, Twitter, and other large tech companies curate what appears on their websites. The draft order calls for the FCC to develop new regulations clarifying how and when the law protects social media websites when they decide to remove or suppress content on their platforms. Although still in its early stages and subject to change, the Trump administration draft order also calls for the Federal Trade Commission to take those new policies into account when it investigates or files lawsuits against misbehaving companies. If put into effect, the order would reflect a significant escalation by President Trump in his frequent attacks against social media companies over an alleged but unproven systemic bias against conservatives by technology platforms. And it could lead to a significant reinterpretation of a law that its author have insisted was meant to give tech companies broad freedom to handle content as they see fit. Well, give them more freedom to do it. That means they can do whatever they want and nobody polices them. So this may, if this comes into effect, they'll be able to say, hey, no, you can't do that. And that's what we were talking about, what you were saying, Nick, about, private companies that can do whatever they want. If the law changes,
Yeah.
then
That's the same defense that Facebook and Google and all those are using. It's private company, the government censor. The constitutional protections against censorship apply to the government. Delta Force can censor whatever the heck it wants to. There's no law against that with most of the time. But as far as censorship, if you're going to go in and say, I have a constitutional right to say what I want on Computers 2K Now, you're wrong. You do not.
right.
But for example, well, I won't go into that, but the fact is that if the government is part of the equation, then constitutional protections do apply. And what I'm telling you is that and I'm not smart enough about how the internet works to say this correctly. Maybe somebody in chat will know better, but the internet, as I am on the internet communicating with Amnon, and as Amnon is streaming it to the various sources, each stream is going through a government data center to get through
Somewhere.
to the master.
Somewhere. Yeah, somewhere.
At least one router somewhere is
Yeah.
government controlled. That gives the government the right to do whatever the heck they want to do.
I just sent you the PDF.
Then
All right, Mike, we got to come up with a topic here so we can get the specials and get all that going.
What kind of topic?
jump on the topic.
I had one. I can't remember what it was. It'll come to me in just a second, maybe. Oh, that program I was talking about a while ago that I've talked about before is called Advanced File Work.
Walmart removing stuff.
Who?
Display of violent video games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they cause people to go into mass shootings.
I thought that was an interesting move by them. Did you know that Walmart is the largest gun seller in the United States?
I thought they had gotten rid of guns.
No. They are the largest guns. They are the largest guns, which makes sense. They're the largest seller of guns in the United States.
Guns kill people.
Well, they may, but
In fact, there was a guy in one of my groups who was bragging that he walked in front of a gun shop and not one gun shot at him.
they made an interesting move. They shuttering their video game kiosks to get rid of, as what they say, violent games in their kiosks. I haven't really seen a whole lot of that. I mean, I go to Walmart pretty regularly, and I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember any displays that are, people's getting their heads, 20-foot poster of somebody getting their head blown off.
John says they have not stopped selling the games, just taking down the video displays.
Yeah, exactly. So they're showing they're changing the marketing of it a little bit, but doesn't. It's just interesting. I don't see those displays in full prominence at Walmart anyway. So it seems like maybe it's just a way to calm the masses, possibly.
Yeah. Maybe we need to start a system where you have a permit to be able to buy one.
Buy a video game, yeah, that'll be good. That'll be real good.
Had all these knife stabbings out in California, and I've heard nothing about banning knife sales.
Yep. And one of the things that you posted, Mike, I think, or Nick posted about Einstein helped me, when it says he goes, when John Kennedy was killed, nobody
yeah.
blamed the rifle.
Right.
Yeah, back then they didn't.
Well, these rifles are dangerous things. The bullets just jump out of them, find their
Yeah. I mean, I have to tell mine, hey, curfew, you can't leave. And sometimes I have to kick them good and say, where are you going?
well, you have to control these things, M9.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so 11 teens die each day because of texting while driving. Maybe it's time to raise the age of smartphone ownership to 21.
Mm-hmm.
If gun controls actually worked, Chicago would be Mayberry. The Second Amendment makes more women equal than the entire feminist movement did. Legal gun owners have 300 million guns and probably a trillion rounds of ammo. Seriously, folks, if we were the problem, you'd know it. When JFK was killed, nobody blamed the rifle. The NRA murders 0 people, receives $0 in government funds. I'm not going to finish this one because I'm not an NRA fan and I'm not trying to start the next problem. I have no problem with vigorous background checks when it comes to firearms. While we're at it, let's do the same when it comes to immigration, voter ID, and candidates running for office, and also for welfare recipients. You
Yep.
don't need a smoke detector. That's what the fire department is for. Now, if you think that sounds stupid, you know how I feel when you say I don't need a gun. Folks keep talking about another civil war. One side knows how to shoot and has a trillion bullets. The other side has crying closets and is confused about which bathroom to use. How do you think this is going to end?
It's funny, but it's true.
That's funny. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. We still
Yeah.
appreciate you listening. But
All right. Are you
Let's do it, I guess. Yeah.
do it?
so also Einstein said, I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots.
It's already here.
Yeah, the problem is they're all in office.
All right.
So Cookie Monster says, oh,
Yeah. If you're running your JDisk cleaner, don't delete cookies. All right. Let's start off. This is a new hybrid format for this morning. Just some general computer stuff here. Let's start it off at Best Buy with an HP Envy X360 2-in-1 15.6-inch laptop running the newest generation Ryzen 7, 8 gigabytes of memory, a 256 gigabyte solid state drive, and this has actually got a decent video card in it. It's got the Vega RX 10, which is AMD's. The Vega line is one of AMD's GPU lines. So you can pick that up over at Best Buy for $749.99. Here's a Lenovo Yoga 730 2-in-1 15.6-inch Core i5. Interesting, 12 gigabytes of memory, which is not a normal number you see. It's normally 8 and 16, but every once in a while you see 12 and then a 256 gigabyte hard drive. It does have Intel graphics built into that. On sale for $649.99. Save $200 on that. That is over at Best Buy. Over at Staples, here's a Dell laptop with an i5, 8 gigabytes of memory. Unfortunately, it's got a 1 terabyte hard drive and no SSD, so be aware of that. But it's a 17.3-inch screen for $499.99. Save $250 on that. We talked about this last week. Over at Best Buy again, Dell and HP are both doing gaming lines while they already have a gaming line. So Dell's got Alienware and HP has Omen. But in the past couple of weeks, last week we saw HP gaming, and this week we're seeing Dell gaming. So they've got their regular consumer line of computers, then they've got their actual gaming companies, and now they've got a gaming brand under their main company. So this is the Dell G3 15.6-inch gaming laptop. It's got 8 gigabytes of memory, a Core i5, and I believe it's got a GTX 960 in it for $899.99. Save $180 on that. Over at Office Depot, here is an HP Pavilion 15.6-inch touchscreen, 2-in-1 laptop with 8 gigabytes of memory and a 256 gigabyte solid state drive on sale for $599.99. Save $100 on that. And a couple desktop here's quickly. A Dell, Inspiron desktop, 12 gigabytes of memory, Core i7, 256 gigabyte solid state drive, $729.99. And over at Office Depot, the Lenovo Idea Center. These are cool little desktops, 8 gigabytes of memory, a 1 terabyte hard drive. Very easy to upgrade this. And it's got an RX Vega 8 for its video card on that. And it is the, I believe this is the 3rd generation. No, this is the second generation Ryzen on this Lenovo. But it's still a pretty good price for what it is. And over at a couple, pretty much Best Buy, because nobody else has any gaming accessories. We've got a Corsair K68 wired gaming keyboard. It's got Cherry MX Red switches on it. $79.99. Save $40 on that. Again, over at Best Buy, if you're looking for a GPU, standalone GPU, here is the GTX RX 2070, the 8 gigabyte version. Pretty decent price on this card. If you can get this card for under $600, it's a pretty good price. $539.99. It's more expensive than almost half of the computers we've talked about, but it's a video card, and that's kind of the deal. And finally, another gaming accessory is a SteelSeries Rival 310 wired gaming mouse. It's got a couple of additional buttons on it for $34.99. And just a couple of quick accessories this morning. 10 terabyte external Western Digital drive for $179. So, I mean, if you've got a home server or just a computer that you use as a server, something that you need to, there's just no reason to delete data. Just move it over to this for 10 terabytes. And I'm sure you can crack this thing open and put the 10 terabyte drive into a computer with a little bit of finagling. $179.99, save $70, and that's available over at Best Buy. Amnon, this is something right up your alley. A thermal laminator. So you can do all of your lamination needs. Maybe this is a new service you could offer at Delta Force, like web development, hosting, email, and thermal lamination of your business brochures and IDs for 44. I don't know why they sell these, I don't know why they're in their flyers rather. $49.99, save $10 on that. Couple of flash drives, SanDisk, which I think are pretty well known as the standard of flash drive if you're buying one. These are USB 3 drives, so you can get a 32 gigabyte starting at $899, a 64 gigabyte starting at $1299, and a 128 gigabyte USB 3.0 Ultra flash drive from SanDisk for $24.99. That is half of the storage of my laptop for $25. Pretty good price over there.
And USB 3 is fast.
Yeah, and it's available at Office Max. Here's Office Depot. Well, Office Depot. Office Max. Yeah. Here's an Epson. This is one of their cheaper end projectors. I'll give a quick PSA to everybody. If you're saying, I need for a one-time event or something, you want to buy a projector. There are plenty of cheap projectors on Amazon. They're run from $79 to about $120. They're junk. You got to turn all the lights down. No amount of light. I know. I'm using one. They're just junk. They're not great. So if you're going to be using this on any sort of regular basis, just invest a couple $100 if you actually care about what you're doing with it. So here's the Epson EX 3260 SVGA projector over at Office Depot Office Max. It's 3,300 lumens. And it supports HDMI, and it's got a couple of other functionalities. It'll do the screen tilting. It's called I want to say keyframing. It's not. It's called something else. But you can tilt the projector and everything like that. It's got a VESA mount on it, so you can screw something into it. $399.99 over at Office Depot. And finally, at Best Buy, an Audio Technica stereo turntable. This is you need to put this into an amp. It's not. It doesn't have any speakers or anything built into it. $89.99. Save $10 on that. And I looked at Walmart. There's just nothing on sale. I mean, they have the same crap on rollback every week. Same TLC $129 TV. So that's specials.
Very nice. Very nice. Laminator, huh?
Yeah. Maybe we go pick one of those up after the show.
Just a background check for games.
It's a good idea. I agree.
All right. Let's see what else we have here. Here, go make money.
I need to. What's up?
Apple says it will offer up to $1 million for hackers who can find vulnerabilities in iPhone and Macs. That's up from $200,000, and in the fall, the program will be open to all researchers. That comes from Forbes. Previously, only those on the company's invite-only bug bounty program were eligible to receive rewards. $1 million. Find a bug.
Somebody's doing it.
Yeah.
The airlines
I'm
do this.
sure.
The airlines do something similar to this too.
What?
They offer copious amounts of money to find bugs in airplanes and stuff like that.
Over there, yeah, but over there they need an exterminator.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, here's something that a lot of people don't think about until it's a little too late. But if you know anybody who can be affected by this, you need to let them know. Meal delivery company Grubhub
Oh no, just use them.
is buying thousands of restaurant web addresses, preventing mom and pop from owning their slice of the internet. A lot of people, independents don't think about it. I'm sure a lot of them do, but there are some that don't think about this.
Okay, I don't.
Go ahead.
No, if you're operating a business, I hate this. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but if you're operating a business and you or somebody you work with or somebody in your family or somebody in your circle doesn't have the wherewithal to tell you register a domain name, I hate to say it, but you kind of get what you deserve.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Tell people.
Yeah,
Because they're not doing anything, as far as I know. It's not illegal unless they're buying.
No, it's not illegal at all.
Names to sit on. But
even if they're buying names to sit on, it does. And
no, that's illegal. Squatting is not.
It's illegal to squat?
It's illegal to buy something with the intent of selling it to whoever.
Yeah.
But if they're buying it so people will get to them. Yeah. It's like SEO kind of thing.
Yeah, it is, because if they know that and there's certain restaurants that need websites. Like I know.
Yeah, but they should have the website.
Agreed. There's a hot dog shop in downtown Wilmington. They don't need a website.
Right.
You don't need you just walk in there. I want a hot dog, chips, and a drink.
Yeah.
But what I would assume Grubhub is doing is they're buying the name of the business, and then so when you search on Google, whatever, the hot dog man store, it's not bringing you to a Grubhub menu for that place. It's bringing you to Grubhub's website.
Right.
And it's probably recommending you another place.
Something.
That's on
absolutely. It's their way of making money from somebody else's fame, so to speak.
Every little project I even think about doing, I buy a
right away.
For. I'm thinking of doing a little thing now, some IT work. You got to buy a domain. Why would you not?
That's the thing, is that it's not expensive, and you don't have to have a website.
No, you
don't have to have anything. Just own the name.
Yeah, sit on any
because let's say you have that hot dog place.
I do.
And you were running it for 10 years. And here I come and I said, I want to buy it. And I'll offer you, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Hot dogs for life.
And in the course of things, I found out, oh, but I don't have a domain name for this. Nah. So if you know any service, any restaurant, any business, even if somebody's working alone from their bedroom,
Handiwork. Yeah.
yeah, tell them to make sure that they have their domain name. Because the time will come when they will regret that they do not have it. And that's going to be a little late, a little too bad. What else were we going to talk? Yesterday we said, yeah, I want to talk about Cloudflare. We talk about Walmart. Anyway, as Softpedia reports, the Independent IT Security Institute (AV Test) spent May and June continuously evaluating 20 home user security products using their default settings to see which offered the best protection. Only 4 of those products achieved a top score, and one of them was Windows Defender.
Oh, this is what we wanted to talk about. Yeah.
The other 3 are F-Secure Safe 17, Kaspersky Internet Security 19.0, the Norton Security 22.17. The big difference between these and Windows Defender is the fact that Microsoft includes Windows Defender for free with Windows 10, whereas the others require a paid subscription to continue being fully functional. So that's why we always said that with Windows 10 you don't need an antivirus. It's built in. It's sort of, you can disable it, and a lot of manufacturers actually disable it and install something like McAfee, and it's not that easy to reverse those things. Maybe once you do it a lot, then you know how to do it. But I'm having a hard time every time I'm trying to reverse it. I say, no, you don't need to pay for this. Just use Defender. So it's nice to know that it's actually working. And Defender got a lot of bad rap years ago about, oh, it doesn't do anything. It does it, but it's fine.
I don't know why you wouldn't run unless you're somebody that's super prone to getting viruses because you're just not as technically literate as maybe you should or shouldn't be. Unless you're prone to getting viruses, I don't see why you shouldn't just be running Defender.
Absolutely.
It just seems kind of over.
And even for Windows 7,
you can install it.
You can install it or use Security Essentials with, I don't know how much difference
I
it
don't
is.
think they offer Security Essentials anymore.
Yeah.
I think Defender, I think the modern Security Essentials is just
Yeah.
Windows 10's Defender.
That's what I'm saying. That it's probably is, but it's still called.
Is it still called Security Essentials?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. That's kind of confusing.
and the thing about it, you are guaranteed to get an update every day. Guaranteed. I have not seen one day go by that I didn't see that little balloon down there and said, "Hey, update available."
Update available. Yeah.
So somebody's working on it and working on it diligently, which means a lot.
I mean, you talked about Windows 7. The end of life for that
It's coming up
January 14th of 2020. So got, half the year left to come up with a solution to that, unless you're a business and you're going to shell out thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep. They're doing something like $100 per license per year for support, and it goes up $100 every year for a maximum of 3 years.
Yeah.
So if you're not updated, you're out of time. You gotta get on it
Yeah.
because it'll be here. And then you'll
Maybe then
stop
I'll
getting
maybe
those.
then I'll upgrade from XP.
Yeah, there you go. When has XP been out of support?
Oh, geez.
2015 or something like that.
Oh,
Mainstream
before that.
support.
Yeah, before that. And the other thing here is we were talking about how Alexa is sort of spying on you, collecting information. Amazon Alexa users can now choose whether human reviewers listen to recordings of their exchanges with the AI assistant, reports VentureBeat, citing an Amazon spokesperson. To ensure people don't listen to voice recordings collected following each exchange with Alexa, go to Settings, tap the Alexa privacy link, then choose Manage how your data improves Alexa. Users can also delete their voice recordings via the Alexa app or Amazon websites. The news follows Amazon's introduction of an Alexa delete what I said today voice command in May. So apparently you can also tell Alexa, hey, delete what I said today.
And I trust them, don't you, Amnon?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you go for this anyway. Earlier this week, Google and Apple both pledged to suspend some of their voice data review by people. Some of theirs. So there you go. Talk to Alexa, tell her to delete what you said today and hope for the best.
All right. Did you see Eric's questions in chat?
No.
He wants to know how to access ABC TV live stream when he's traveling. He uses a VPN that gives him a local IP address, but it also checks location services.
Need some more information.
Yeah, I thought that the VPN would do it. I'm not sure how.
I mean,
It will do it, but depends who the provider is. Who's provided ABC? Who is providing the live TV?
VPN into your home computer, how can that not work?
Yeah, but I just still don't. You just still don't know who's providing the ABC service.
can't you go to YouTube just like we do for Fox News?
I mean,
Type
I
in
don't know what
Fox News Live and
I don't know what.
somebody provides it. It's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
theirs.
get a subscription through Sling or somebody else. I mean, they'll provide local
Yeah.
TV.
John says, "How do I
Um,
list computers 2K now on Alexa?" It's real simple, but it's tricky.
I can't remember.
It's Alexa, play computer. No, stop, scratch. Alexa, play Nissan Communications on TuneIn.
Yep.
Or is it the other way around? Play,
Nope.
tune in, NissanCommunications.com. Okay.
Yeah, Eric, who is providing the service though? I get it's channel 11 in Raleigh, but are you looking to watch their newscasts? Because if that's the case, you can watch them on their website.
Right.
But if you're, who is it through? Is it through Spectrum? Where's the service coming from?
Talking about Spectrum, they had about a 4 or 5 day outage here in Cary this past week. And the problem they blamed was Google cut their fiber.
4 days?
It was at least 4 days.
Wow. Where was I?
Must have been a small
I didn't
area.
hear it.
No, it was probably, I'm thinking a neighborhood.
Oh. Jeez.
They were livid. These people were livid. One guy
Of
said
course.
that he now has AT&T and Spectrum at his house. Well, let me tell you what happened with Spectrum with me.
Okay.
I don't know if I talked about this, but anyway, I got a package from them from Spectrum. I didn't even look to see who it was from. When I opened it, it had a router and a modem in it. And so I looked at it and I said, well, I probably ought to just throw it in the trash can. And I said, no, I'm going to be the nice guy. So I got on chat And I said, "You have sent a modem and router by mistake to my house. Do you want to send somebody to pick it up, or do you want me to throw it in a trash can? And, please call this number." So I said, "All right, this is getting fun." So anyway, I finally called the number and got to someone. They said, "Oh, yes, you have service. Your bill's $91 a month." I said, "Well, you're incorrect. Number one, I don't have service. And number two, my bill is not $91 a month." "Well, no, someone in the last week called and ordered it." I said, "No, they didn't." I said, "There's no one here to call and order it." And I said, "Even if they did, they're not the homeowner. And even if they said they were, they'd have to do a credit check. No one's is going to give you that information." "Well, sir, we show that you as a subscriber. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You're within the 30-day cancellation period." I said, "No, I'm not in the 30-day cancellation period. I'm not in any period. I have do not have your service, don't want your service, and will not accept your service." I said, "Moreover, the coaxial cable going to my house from where it previously had service, the cable is cut. It's not even consistent all the way back to the streets." And so they said, "Well, it's if you can bring it back to the
Mhm.
spec retail location." I said, "If you think I'm going to go stand in line at your store for an hour to do you a favor, you are on drugs." And they said, "Okay, well, there's a label in it that you can take it to a FedEx store and it'll come back to us freight." And I said, "I want to make sure you understand that you fix this record that I do not have service with you. And as far as I know, we'll never have service with you." "Yes, sir, you will not receive a bill. You don't owe that money." I said, "No, you're correct. I just want to make sure you understand it." And I said, "As a courtesy, I will drop it off at the store, but if there's line, I will not wait." Not, I mean, at the FedEx store, not their local store.
Mhm.
I mean, what gets into these people? Oh,
It's
what, during the phone call, they said, "Sir, we even have your phone number here." And I said, "What phone number do you have?" And like an idiot, she told me it was 919 something, something, something. I'd never heard of it. I said, "That's not my phone number." And so after we got off the phone, I dialed the number to see who it was, and it said, "This number is voicemail," or something. I mean, it was sounded like a scam to me.
Interesting.
All right, so Eric has says DirecTV. Alan has got some responses.
Mhm. Mhm.
OMP. I'm assuming that means 1 minute, please. That sounds very Canadian. The good news is there shouldn't be anything on ABC that you'd want to watch.
Well.
We still have I have AT&T Uverse for TV, and the local CBS affiliate, WNCN, is in a pissing contest over money, so they're not on AT&T cable, and I haven't missed them.
and DirecTV.
And DirecTV, okay, 'cause I don't miss them. In fact, I'm waiting them when I've got an hour to waste, I'm gonna call and get a $10 per month credit and ask them to please leave it off.
Every next star station across the country is going through that. It's
Yeah.
been about a month and a half now, I think.
That's fine with me. I mean, that's sad now as long as I've waited for Google Fiber, it's now I can see it from my front door. It's not available. They haven't offered it to me yet, but when they put the door hanger on there, I'm not signing up for it. It will be more expensive to get the same services that I now have with AT&T.
I'll call and sign you up for it, don't worry.
Oh, okay. Just tell them to go ahead and send a modem and router.
Yeah, I will, we'll do. I'll set up the install. What would be a best time for you, between 3 and 6 or, 10 and 2?
Between April 4th and April 27th would work for me.
Okay, perfect. I'll let them know.
Okay. My friend over in Durham has AT&T. They just raised his bill $100 a month.
Cancel.
Well, he is. I mean, he can afford it, but he said that's just enough. He said, "I'm not paying $250 a month for television and internet." So he's actually putting up an antenna. And where he is, he's up on it's kind of up high, so he gets all the stations. I'm down in the hole. I can't. I put up an antenna to see if I have an antenna. I didn't go buy one. I put it up, the one you saw in the living room. I put it up to see if I could actually get the stations that because ultimately I'm going to cut the cable too. I mean, this we went to let me finish the story instead of bouncing all over the place. I did a scan and I could get everything but WNCN, which was fine. I just turned it off. But Then we went to a block party for our HOA when we had a bunch of people there, older people like us. We've got a mature neighborhood. Over half of them don't have cable.
Good for
Hey,
them.
hey, they got plenty of money. It's not even a money thing. They just don't want to go for it.
You got to get that antenna up on the roof or in the attic.
Yeah.
You can't get the antenna in the attic.
The attic and the roof are not the same thing.
Well, they said the roof or the attic.
Yeah, theoretically, I mean, I could put it in the attic. Now I've got to figure out how to get the coax down to the TV in the living room.
Air return.
A what?
An air return. It's the
Mm,
best way to run cabling in a house. If you can't,
there aren't any.
there's no air returns anywhere near there.
No, it's all the upstairs is its own system.
Oh, well, you could always ping it down the side of the house.
Yeah, I could just run it along the inside of the wall.
No, the outside.
No,
of the house.
the outside.
Yeah, we can go through the brick and do that. Sure.
You can take it out of a window and pinch it a little bit.
Yeah, just don't let the window shut all the way.
Just don't watch TV. I mean, that's a great solution too. I mean, there's your solution.
That if I decided to cut the cable, I mean, I would want access to the local channels.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mike, you can always put a tower.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
I would just not watch TV. There's their simplest, cheapest solution to it.
You seen how much you've been here this weekend? How much TV have we watched?
Not a whole lot.
On the air, cable TV have we watched?
None.
None.
Actually, that's not true.
It is true.
It's not.
Why? We watched YouTube.
I watched Fox the other day for a while.
Oh, I didn't.
He snuck it.
But no, but back
Now, ABBA kick.
Back to what Mike was talking about. If you do have to get your antenna high. I mean, you might be able to lean it against a window, but the higher you can put it,
Yeah, the better.
the better.
Sure.
And with digital TV, based on the propagation of whatever, I mean, it may scan and look fine one time, and then you could turn it. Might in the morning it may not be as reliable, or the evening it might not be if you've got a borderline fringe signal. So there's not a lot of tolerance.
Yeah,
with
the
digital.
higher, the better. There's no doubt. Hey,
Drew
Mike,
says,
how about
fail.
a helium balloon?
Let me try that again. Google will fail with their fiber rollout, just like they have failed in so many other businesses. But see, this is not smart, Drew. It's not that they have failed; they have chosen not to succeed.
I don't think it's accurate I don't think you
Nah.
can say that Google has failed in their other businesses. They're the largest search engine. They own the top 3 websites in the world with traffic. They've got the biggest email provider in the world. I mean, that you can't say Google's failing with their other businesses.
He's talking about just in that aspect, because we've well documented here that if Google loses interest in it, they just terminate it. They don't care.
And they can do. I mean, I actually talked to somebody Friday, that is using Google Fi, their cell phone service, and is very happy with it.
Everybody I've talked to using it are happy with it, but at some point we've got to break the Google stranglehold on technology.
Well, I'll tell you what, if your option is to pay AT&T $95 a month for a cell phone, or you pay Google $540.
Well, the problem is you're picking between 2 venereal diseases.
You have to.
So,
or forget about cell service, right?
Drew says ATSC3 will vastly improve over-the-air deception. That was good. That was a good one. How about that Freudian slip? Over-the-air reception. I'm not sure. I mean, I know what ATSC is and so forth. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm really curious. I'm really curious to know what you're talking about with ATSC3 vastly improving over-the-air reception, and what's going to have to happen for that to become available. How does it change things? In fact, Drew, if you don't mind, if you'd call in and tell us, it'd be useful. If you don't have the ability to call in, just tell us in chat.
Well,
I'm really curious about this ATSC3 thing.
In the Raleigh market, ATSC3 is being pioneered, and it's been being pioneered now for years by Channel 5. They were the first in the country they're doing an ATSC3 test. They've been doing it for years.
Well, how do I know that?
How I don't know. How do you expect? We want to mail you something that says we're doing an ATSC3 test?
When you say an ATS3, is it a separate transmitter that requires?
Yeah, it is. It's a totally separate. It's a separate transmitter, and I believe no, I don't believe, you have to have a TV that is ATSC3 compatible, and the cool thing about ATSC3 is it uses location service, so it allows them, based on where they think you're watching from, to send specific data. For example, if your house is in the polygon of a tornado warning, right now, what news channels do is they break all programming across all services to talk about that. Well, that's great if you're in the tornado warning, but if you're
Outside.
on Channel 5's coverage map, if there's a tornado warning in northern Wake County and people in Fayetteville are watching, they don't want to watch that crap. So with ATSC3, the idea is that they would be able to kind of isolate where those people are and send them just individual programming themselves and leave the rest of the network alone. It's kind of like it's like data driven TV. It's rather interesting, but it's still
So,
far away.
so can you buy a TV now that's ATSC3 compatible? How are
Yes.
they test?
What'd you say?
How are they doing a test?
They're
What are
they're
they
just
doing?
broadcasting. They're just
What are
transmitting on it.
the crackerjack engineers over there doing to test this system? How are they testing it? We're gonna walk.
They had the first ATSC3 transmitter in the country. They've got a
And they
special antenna on the tower. I mean, they've
and they
invested
probably
millions of
have
dollars.
some homes that maybe they gave them a TV
Yeah.
in different areas, 10, 20, 30 residential, and they just see how it works. I mean, it's just like when Mike, when we started with the HD, and they were one of the pioneers in that. I mean, how did they test it?
Where do you buy an ATSC3 compatible TV?
You might not have to. I'm looking right now. I have to see. I don't know if there's specific TVs that are ATSC3.
I mean, if you got to buy a new TV, I don't know how many people. I mean, I buy new TVs about every 3 years now because the new ones are so much better than the old ones.
I think you need a tuner, I think is the deal.
Yeah, that's going to be hard sell after HD, 4K. I see a resurgence of over-the-air TV coming. It seems to me like it's going to. I was really shocked at all these old people talking about dumping cable. Drew says there will be converters with HDMI outputs. Now that would be reasonable because people are used to plugging in their 14 devices to the two HDMI inputs.
Yeah, so the cool thing about it is I'm just reading this now on a blog. And yeah, they do sell. Yeah, so you do have to purchase an ATSC tuner for it. But so the way that it works is they get it's over you're picking up the data, the TV over the air, but your TV or your box is also internet connected. So that's how they're sending you.
So that's how they know the location.
That's how they're sending you target. So let's look at your local weather. Maybe it's a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit different. Depending on it could literally tell you in Cary or in Apex instead of just
In
Raleigh's
our
always.
area, no, they
Yeah.
say our viewing area.
Yeah, well, they show Raleigh. Raleigh's always the benchmark.
Yeah.
So that's what ATSC3 will allow. I don't know about better pickup patterns with it, but if you can, from what I understand, they may have stopped since 2017. I think WRAL was running and has been running a loop on their ATSC3 station, and I believe they're doing their newscasts now because it's 4K. That's the whole deal.
Now, if it's going to take an ATSC receiver to get 4K, then that will help its implementation. But my understanding is, and I'm pretty sure this is right, that 4K will probably never be available on the cable system because of the bandwidth requirement. Right now, most of them are only 1080i, which is the same as 720p. They're not even to real 1080p yet, so they're not going to jump all the way to 4K. And by the way, I mean 4K over 1080p may be fine, but I can't see it.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't know if you're missing anything.
So, listen to this. The first ATSC3 tuner that was really being demoed was actually at NAB this year, and it is the size of a USB. It's a USB stick.
Wow.
Wonder what the cost will be.
I a couple $100 to start, but just like anything else, like HD TVs were thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I would assume by the year probably 2025 or so, you'll have the standard. Because I mean, here's the thing.
It'll be built in.
Well, it's not that it won't be built in, but you've got the broadcasters have got to update, and with ATSC3, it is a whole new transmission system, and in a lot of cases, it's whole new antennas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like
You're talking about
we had to go
hundreds of
through
millions of dollars.
from
Yeah.
to HD.
Well, even from black and white to color was a huge process too. I mean, so
So I'm going to get a 4K system to watch 60 Minutes.
if that's what you want to do, more power to you.
I don't. I would like to have a 4K link into Jeff Epstein's cell.
Here's something else over here. It's interesting. Verizon is refusing to waive or reduce $880 of charge accidentally ran up from someone who borrowed a mobile hotspot from a small library. The library has an unlimited data plan for the hotspots, but Verizon says it has to pay the $880 to cover less than half a gigabyte of data usage that happened across the border with Canada. That's from Ars Technica. It says Tully Free Library in Tully, New York. Tully? Tully.
Tully.
A town of fewer than 3,000 people lends out 3 Verizon hotspots to rural population that has limited internet access. The library started the hotspot lending program with a grant from the Central New York Library Resources Council, which paid the bill for 2 years. Crucially, the service plan with Verizon blocked international roaming so that library borrowers couldn't rack up unintentional charges if they happened to cross the Canadian border. But when the grant ran out, the library had to get a new contract and service plan, and the organization began paying the bill itself. The new plan seemed to be identical to the old one, but it enabled international roaming. They never said to us, "Do you want international roaming blocked?" The director of the library told ours, "That wasn't something that occurred to me because it was blocked before. The person who borrowed the hotspot used it while driving through Canada for a few hours to take his brother to the airport. He was only over the border for about 4 hours, and he said he wasn't even using the hotspot. It was just in the car, and apparently it was pinging a tower, so that power was incurring all these fees. The bill from Verizon included an $880.30 charge for about 444 megabytes of international data." And she said, "I ended up contacting their executive communication department, and the person there said she had to contact their legal team because our contract was under the government/educational department. She contacted the legal team, and they went back and forth and finally decided that no, we couldn't have our fee waived." I mean, great.
We dumped Verizon because of that attitude.
You what?
We dumped Verizon because of that attitude. We asked them, we were made a reasonable offer by AT&T to switch. We
Yeah.
went to Verizon, asked them, can you match this plan so we don't have to go through all this trouble? And they came back with something that was $100 a month higher. I said, thank you very much. And we canceled
Yeah.
them that day.
And you had a good experience with the new provider. I remember we talked about it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Never mind.
We're talking a cell phone company. I'm not.
All right.
Google
Well-
Fi's got an interesting structure. So I'm looking at it. If I was to get it today, they charge $20 for unlimited calls and texts, and then there's a slider for data. But once you get over the gigabyte of threshold of 66 gigabytes at $60, there's a thing they offer called bill protection. So the way it works is if you're paying for 6 gigabytes and you go over that 6 gigabytes, you get slower data, but there's no additional cost up to 20 gigabytes.
Yeah, they
So that-
throttle you.
They throttle you, but
Yeah.
you will never pay for
Right.
more than 6
Yeah.
gigabytes of data.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. And obviously, if you don't need that. So it says, is bill protection an unlimited plan? Think of bill protection as an unlimited plan with added flexibility. With bill protection, you'll get unlimited data when you need it without paying for it when you don't. If you're an individual, that means in the months when you need 8 gigabytes of data, you automatically enjoy unlimited data after you use the first 6 gigabytes. But in months when you only need 2 gigabytes of data, you'll only pay for 2 gigabytes of data you actually used. So that's what that bill protection, it slides you. So your bill could be
So
as
the most
little
you
as
pay is for 6.
$80, which would be
Yeah.
$80 a month, 60 plus 20 for the service.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I guess if I needed a hop ship of cell phone providers, I'd probably end up jumping over to Google, at least for a little while. And apparently they have free international roaming.
Until they discontinue it.
Well, there you go. So
They were saying, I remember from the days of what was that? Bell South Mobility, when cell phones started being common. They were saying that sooner or later, all international calling is going to be free because it doesn't cost. It doesn't cost them. And you see it getting more and more and more. But it's a cash cow, so they don't do away with it.
if you've got the 6 gigabyte bill protection plan with Google Fi, international data is free with bill
Yeah.
protection.
Nice.
And SMS is unlimited. You do have to pay for voice calls, 20 cents a minute. But you can text, and the fact that you have free data means you could use a VoIP service.
What are we getting to here? Used to be the text used to cost you per text.
Yeah.
And you can talk all you want. Now it's the other way around. It completely shifted back.
Well, and you think about it too, a lot of people aren't really texting when they say they're texting. I don't believe Mike and I have ever sent an actual SMS message back and forth. We iMessage because of iPhone. That's not a text. That's using data.
Yeah.
It is not texting. So and if you're using WhatsApp, Signal, or anything else, you're not texting. I have to text you because
But it's the same. But you go through the same gyrations.
You do,
have
but it's not a text.
Yeah,
if you were
it's not.
tracking
It's
the
not the
text,
text.
it's not. It's data. Exactly. Now, they don't charge that data against your account,
Right.
but pictures and things that you're sending via iMessage are not SMS text messages. They are fully. It's data. It's not a text. Now you can send a text if you have slow data. I can hold down on the text message and it'll pop up as send as SMS. So that's why I'm sure texting is free because people aren't really texting, or a large group of people aren't really texting.
Well, why does Skype charge so much for SMS?
Oh, on some of their data plans?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I because you are actually SMSing with Skype.
I know, but you can do it for free on Gmail, on voice.google.com. You can send SMS for free. I use it all the time.
You can do the same thing with services like WhatsApp and Signal too. Send text messages. So
Yeah, I think text messages is what call Kleenex. You don't have to pay a lot of money for Kleenex. You can buy different. Oh, really? Good morning. Hello.
Hello, this is Gene. How you doing?
Hey, Gene.
Hey, can I tell a Microsoft and IBM history story of the day or the week?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. In the 1980s, when IBM was building the first PC, it was called the PC-1. They developed it down in Boca Raton, Florida, and they didn't have an operating system. They used DOS.
Right.
You remember, disk operating system. When finally we were going to bring it to the marketplace, they came up to Raleigh here, Research Triangle Park, where IBM had about 1,500 programmers working on operating systems for large-scale computers, supercomputers. And they asked the manager up here whether he'd undertake bringing an operating system to bear with the PC. And the guy said, "No, we're too busy on the big systems and bureaucratic IBM." And he also said, "I don't think those things are going to go very, very far anyway." So he says, "Why don't you just go out and subcontract it?" So the president of what we call the Entry Systems Division, the PC division at that time, his name was Bob Estridge. Bob went out and, of course, he went to who developed DOS, and it was Paul Allen and Bill Gates in their garage. And so started Microsoft. That was the beginning of Microsoft. So a few years later, and this is the funny part of the story, IBM was trying to run Microsoft like it was one of their departments, telling them what to do all the time and that type of thing. And Gates was unhappy with that, and it was kind of a falling out. And so I get a call from the division president at the time. We were making the PCs here in Research Triangle Park, thousands a day, and new models coming out all the time. And I get a call from him, and he says, "I'm going to send you a template letter. Every time a new version comes out, a new model, I want you to make sure it's tested up well and send it to Bill Gates's." He was up in New York City at in Park Avenue. Send it to his apartment up there, and I'll give you a template letter that you can send with each one. So I did that a few times. I can't remember exactly how many. And I was sitting there one day, and my secretary comes in and says, "Hey, Bill Gates' administrator of the system is on the phone, and she wants to talk to you." So I get on the phone with her, and she says, "Mr. Odessa, will you please do me a favor?" She says, "Will you stop sending these computers up here? He's just stacking them in the corner, and they're filling up the room."
Interesting.
So I said, "Well, I was told by my division president to do it." And she said, "Well, please just don't tell and stop doing it." So I stopped, and he never asked. So that's why I got a few more stories that I can tell another time, but that's the one for the week.
Interesting. Was that
Look
running?
Look where we are today. Microsoft is now as bureaucratic as IBM was.
Was that running? was this running IBM DOS or MS DOS?
Well, I guess they had developed DOS too, and
Yeah.
that's why Estridge went out there. Nobody else put a bid in anyway. So we put out for bids, and the only ones that bid on it were Gates and Allen.
Interesting.
Okay, guys.
All right.
I'm gonna
Thanks,
go.
Gene.
Right up.
All right, guys. 11:06.
Yep. It's that time of day. Anything else that you wanted to mention?
No,
Yeah.
we're good.
All right, Mike.
Nope.
Nope.
We're good.
All right. So thanks, Mike. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know what happens with God. What happened with God lately? It's not like him. He normally says, but anyway. But I'll probably hear what he has to say later on. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Tonight at 9, Mike Phillips hosts the Crypto Culture Show on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, and you can listen on TuneIn. And the link is under the links on the left. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.